Only the hungriest squirrel boys will survive this video. What a stupid intro. Okay. Ravenous Squirrel, let's bring him up here. Ravenous Squirrel is eating a snake and shoving people into the hole in this tree. This is quite the squirrel. So what we're going to do here is we're going to toggle our laser eyes. Because this is definitely... yeah. Anyway, Ravenous Squirrel says whenever you sacrifice an artifact or creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Ravenous Squirrel. That's pretty good. And for 1 mana, this is just a green or a black mana, and you can cast it turn 1, and then you can pay 1 black-green, sacrifice an artifact or a creature, and you can gain a life and draw a card. So having card advantage in the command zone is actually pretty darn good, and that's a pretty neat effect. So basically what we're going to do this whole time is there's a few combos we're going to search for, and there's a bunch of things that just replace themselves, and that's the bread and butter. So all of these things, when they die, they replace themselves with something else. So Brindle Shoat, Carrier Thrall, Doom Dissenter, these all, and Nested Shambler, these all replace themselves with another creature. There you go. It's a token. Get the one, you sack it, get another one. So you just kind of have a perpetual engine gas pieces. The other one's Direfleet Hoarder, Jewel-Eye Cobra, Jewel Thief, and Gleaming Barrier. When they die, or I guess in this case Jewel Thief enters, you make a treasure token. And remember, the squirrel says when you ever sacrifice an artifact or creature, treasures go along with that. So every time you sacrifice a creature, it gets a +1/+1 counter, making it bigger. So I just thought it was kind of nice. Same, we've got a few more down here. Voracious Vermin enters with another token sack outlet, or yeah, another token to sack to the sack outlet. And when it enters battle, or when another creature we control dies, we put a +1/+1 counter on Voracious Vermin. So this is like that could get all big as well. Sanitarium Skeleton and Persistent Specimen, these two return themselves to the battlefield after you sacrifice them. So that's kind of fun. Nimbling Schematic is another artifact we can sacrifice that when it enters or is put in the graveyard, we make a 1/1 construct. It's kind of there to feed the machine, really. So card advantage here, a lot of this stuff is going to, like Altar's Reap. We're going to sacrifice something to draw cards, make our commander bigger. Costly Plunder, same thing. We can get rid of an artifact with that as well. Same with Reckoner's Bargain, which also gains us life. Village Rites draws more cards. Ichor Wellspring, whenever it enters or is put into the graveyard, will draw a card. And then same with Candy Trail, right? We can sacrifice it to gain 3 and draw a card. But the cool things too here: Bitter Revelation, Discerning Taste, and Ransack the Lab. We'll look at the top X amount of cards from the top of our library and put some into our hand, put some in the graveyard, just to be able to pick out what we want and then put what we don't want in the graveyard. This can be really good. I was gonna put some green effects in here, but the green ones only search for like creatures and lands and enchantments, and like, ugh, that doesn't help as much as I'd like it to. So the black ones are a little bit better in this case, I think, and just being able to get through the deck faster. Enablers, we got a bunch of enablers. That kind of go in like a few different categories, right? So Dutiful Attendant, this returns something else from the graveyard to your hand when it dies. It's another thing that almost replaces itself. And then we've got Ashnod's Intervention, Fake Your Own Death. These two, both when the creature dies, we return it to the battlefield. So this is good for our commander because it could potentially get really big. And then we've got some sacrifice outlets here. We've got Bloodflow Connoisseur, Carrion Feeder, and Viscera Seer, right? These are all free sacrifice outlets. It doesn't really matter what else they do. I mean, it kind of does, but they're used for the sacrifice outlet mainly. Viscera Seer scries 1, which is really nice. And these two get +1/+1 bigger as well when the things die. So that's actually pretty cool. So we can get something potentially pretty big. And then we've got Revive the Shire and Fortuitous Find. Just return things from the graveyard to our hand. And Revive the Shire also makes it food, which we can sacrifice. That's really cool, really nice. Whisper Silk Cloak lets our commander get through just to be able to swing in for the win. Finishers. So this is like a big complicated bunch of stuff that might look like weird to you right in this second, but maybe, I mean, you guys are smart, so you're probably smarter than me. I gotta rethink all these combos. Ivy Laden Denizen combos with like a bag of chips. Like this thing's nuts. So whenever a green creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, which pairs with Devoted Druid. So you tap it for a green, and put Presence of Gond on it. So you tap Devoted Druid, and then it's like to make an elf. And then whenever another green creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And yeah, we go back and forth with. So you tap Devoted Druid for a green, and then you untap it with a -1 counter on it. And then you, with Presence of God attached, you tap it to create a 1/1 elf. Green creature enters, triggers Ivy Laden Denizen. And then you put a +1/+1 counter on Devoted Druid, which gets rid of the -1 counter. And then you do it again. Rinse and repeat. You have infinite creatures, infinite mana. Really cool combo. It's a Pauper, right? That's cool stuff. Going with these guys here. Well, let's start with these ones. Rancor and Cetessan Training. These ones will just give our commander trample, just in case, right? These ones, Airy Oofs, Rendclaw Tro, and Putrid Goblin all have Persist. Now, Persist also will go with Ivy Laden Denizen. Ivy Laden Denizen, again, combos with a bag of chips. The best thing here, though, is... let's scroll all the way down. We'll get to this stuff. Where'd it go? Here we go. Ashnod's Altar. Very important card. This thing combos with these ones. So basically what we're going to do, I guess you could do any sacrifice outlet, but this is the most bestest one. The other ones too, you get your sack outlet. These ones will get infinitely bigger. In Viscera Seer, we can scry an infinite number of times, is basically what's going to happen. So basically we will... So Airy Oofs, Putrid Goblin, Rendclaw, Trow. So they're on the battlefield. We sacrifice it to Ashnod's Altar, let's say. You'll get 2 colorless mana in your mana pool. When it dies, it comes back with Persist. Comes back with a -1/-1 counter on it. And then have Ivy Laden Denizen out. Boom. You put a +1/+1 counter on it, gets rid of the -1 counter on it, and now you're up 2 mana. You haven't done anything, and you're back to where you started. Sacrifice it again to Altar, get 2 more mana. Now you get 4 mana. It dies, comes back, Persist. Ivy Laden Denizen puts a counter on it. You get it, right? It's an infinite loop with infinite things. If your commander's out, it gets infinite +1/+1 counters because every time you sacrifice something, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. So that's Rendclaw Tro, Putrid Goblin, and Airy Oofies are pretty much the same. Rendclaw has Wither, so that'll deal combat damage in the form of -1/-1 counters to creatures. And then Airy Oofies, actually, you can sacrifice it to itself, and it deals damage equal to its power to target creature with flying. So this was a flying board wipe, pretty much, and it's 2-card combo, Ivy Laden Denizen and Airy Oofies, because you can sacrifice itself, then it dies, comes back, da-da-da-da-da. So that's all the combos, right? That's going off, that's happening. Lands, we got a bunch of lands. Colony Garden, when it enters, you put a 0/1 plant into play, which is, you get a free thing to sacrifice just with your land. So that's pretty notable, I think. We got some more value here. Disciple of the Vault, when an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, we can have target opponent lose a life. Essence Warden, whenever another creature enters onto the battlefield, we gain a life. So that's our creatures, we gain infinite life when those things enter in a loop. Then we'll pretty much just win, right, at that point. Master Chef, this is another one that pairs with the Airy Oofies. Is it Oofs or Oofies? I don't know. Anyway, it pairs with that, because it puts the +1/+1 counters on creatures as they enter. They just enter with a +1/+1 counter, including our commander. Phyrexian Vivisector, whenever creature we control dies, we scry 1. So that's important if we don't have Viscera Seer out, and get us through the top of our deck if we want. Sadistic Glee is just a double up on our commander's +1/+1 counters. As whenever a creature is put into play, graveyard play, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it just doubles up the number of counters. Kind of cool. You could take or leave this one, honestly. Protection, Battle Rage Blessing, Target creature gets Death Touch and Indestructible till end of turn. That's great for a commander. Gaia's Gift, put another counter on it. It gains Reach, Trample, and Hexproof, and Indestructible till end of turn. Ranger's Guile gives it +1 and Hexproof till end of turn. You swap that for something else too, but that one, at least we can prevent our commander from being targeted. Ramp, again, we've got our Ashnod's Altar. These other ones too, Microsynth, Wellspring, enters or split into the graveyard. We'll search for basic land in our hand. Viridian Emissary, when it dies, we'll search for a basic into play tapped. Same as Secure Tribal Elder, we can sacrifice it, another trigger, and we'll put it into play tapped. Dawn Treader Elk, same thing. It's a sacrifice trigger. Underseller Myconid, when it enters or dies, we'll create a 1/1 Saproling, which is really nice, but then it also taps to add one of any color. And Undercity Scrounger and Glittermonger tap to create treasure tokens, which is pretty cool because, again, those treasure tokens go well with the commander. A removal, Bone Splinters and Annihilating Glare and Eaten Alive are basically the same. Sacrifice something to destroy something or exile something, a creature specifically. Break Asunder, it's got cycling, but it also destroys artifacts and enchantments. Broken Wings destroys that same stuff. Nature's Claim also. And Caustic Caterpillar, same stuff, but it also sacrifices itself, trigger the commander. Executioner's Capsule, same thing, sacrifice itself, destroy a non-black creature. And then Polluted Dead, I just think it's silly. It's a little bit expensive, but I mean, it's Pauper commander, so whatever. But when it dies, we destroy a target land. There's that, just in case. Lastly, we've got 2 transmutes, Shred Memory and Dimir House Guard. Basically, we're going to search up our card engine, or our combo pieces. So we'll search for something with 4 mana and something with 2 mana. So if we go back up to here, we're probably going to search for, so we search for 4 and 2. So search for Ivyline Denizen, Devoted Druid, Putrid Goblin, or Cetizen Training, I guess. You're probably not going to search for that. You're going to search for one of these 3, Ivyline, Devoted, or Putrid. All right, anyway, that's that. I think this was really cool. Oh, I forgot I put laser eyes on it. I think this is really fun. Honestly, this is really cool. Golgari deck. If you're looking to get into Pauper Commander, I highly recommend this deck. This is really fun, especially if you like sacrifice outlets and doing a combo. This is the deck for you. I really like it. So, anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the TCGplayer affiliate link down below, as well as the Milkman proxy link. Check those out. It's affiliated with the channel's affiliated with them. Helps us both out. So, anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for your weekly dose of magic.